2 years after marriage, I found out that Harrison was having an affair with the new intern. A little girl raised her chin at me proudly and stubbornly. Sister, I'm different from you. I love Harrison as a person. I looked at the skirt on her that I couldn't afford even with several years' salary and sneered. Really? I wore this skirt the year before last. Ask Harrison to buy you a better one next time. Then I decisively divorced him and took back the resources given to the Harrison family. The Harrison family went bankrupt again. Didn't anyone tell her that everything of the Harrison family depends on me? Including the outdated skirt on her. When my best friend Stella's message came. I had just bought a set of jewelry worth 20 million. I clicked on that video. The light in the private room was dim. Harrison sat with his long legs crossed, hugging a charming little girl in his arms and smiling tingly. I've seen this little girl. She is the new intern in Harrison's company. And Harrison is my husband. We were childhood sweethearts and each other's first love. But just 2 years after marriage, he had a young and beautiful mistress outside. I clenched my phone, turned off the screen, and felt a little tired. Stella bombarded me with messages, all standing up for me. How dare he? Harrison? How dare he keep a mistress outside? Without you, he is nothing. Bastard man. Stella didn't wrong Harrison. Before marriage, the Harrison family went bankrupt overnight. After I married him, the Harrison family made a comeback with the help of the Serafina family. It can be said that all the resources and orders the Harrison family can get are due to the Serafina family. But Harrison seems to have forgotten now. I replied to Stella. Calm down. I just bought a set of jewelry that is just right for you. Stella? Are you stupid with sadness? Don't scare me. I'll come to accompany you soon. Stella's concern made a warm current pass through my heart. Perhaps I'm sad. But more is disappointment. After getting in the car, I leaned against the back seat and rubbed my temples. The starry sky roof came into view, and my mood improved a little. This car was given by my dad when I got married. The landing price is 8.30 million. It's really comfortable to sit in. Fortunately, although people may change, the car doesn't. I mean, compared with men, money is more reliable. The car was driving smoothly. When I was almost home, there was a new friend request on my phone. Looking at the youthful and beautiful face in the profile picture, I asked the driver to turn the car around. In the coffee shop, Yolanda sat opposite me. She was in a white dress and looked at me stubbornly. Sister, I'm different from you. I love Harrison as a person. You enjoy life at home all day and spend money lavishly. How can you understand the hardship of his work? I stirred my coffee. The bracelet of Bulgari PNT series on my wrist and the platinum full dime and ring complemented each other. Enjoy life all day and spend money lavishly? I raised my eyebrows in disbelief. Who told me I have money? Before, I was Miss Serafina in people's mouths. Now I am the general manager of Serafina who can easily buy an island development project. Why can't I spend money? Yolanda frowned, seemingly puzzled why I wasn't angry. What are you laughing at? Sister? Harrison and I are true love. You don't understand. My eyes fell on the Chanel logo on her clothes. Although this skirt is an out-of-season style, she can't afford it even with several years' salary. I curled my lips and picked at my nails. The diamonds pasted on the manicure were dazzling. I wore this dress the year before last. Ask Harrison to buy you a better one next time. Yolanda's face flushed instantly, and she bit her lip tightly. I took a sip of coffee and was about to leave. Opposite. Yolanda bit her lip and looked at the door, her eyes reddening timidly. I was curious. Then Yolanda spoke weakly. General Manager Harrison. As I turned my head, Harrison was striding towards us. Harrison stood still. He frowned slightly. Then he stood a little closer to Yolanda, and stood between us. Yolanda poked half of her head out from behind Harrison, like a frightened rabbit, and her little hand tightly grasped Harrison's clothes. There was protection in his eyes. Serafina, don't speak so harshly. Me and Yolanda are not what you think. What kind? Yolanda has said it so straightforwardly. And Harrison is also partial to her. The relationship between the two is obvious. There's nothing to be sorry about. At this point, I definitely want to divorce Harrison. As long as Harrison can afford the price of divorce. After all, at the beginning of our marriage, the Harrison family relied on the Serafina family. But now the Harrison family relies on me. The general manager of Serafina. Before Harrison could speak, Yolanda stood up first. Sister, how can you talk to General Manager Harrison like this? I put my hands on my chest and my eyes fell on the wrinkled shirt on Harrison. Yolanda also noticed it and said softly with her lip bitten, I didn't mean to wrinkle your clothes. Saying this, she also reached out and tried to smooth out the traces on her clothes. Harrison gently grabbed Yolanda's wrist. It's okay. It's just a piece of clothing. We can buy another one. Looking at Harrison's generous appearance, I sneered in my heart. This haute couture suit is custom made by an international top designer and is unique. The designer is on good terms with me, so he is willing to design a set for Harrison. Buy another set? It's said so lightly. Does it mean that he wants to take advantage of me and get another one for free? Perhaps my gaze was too intense. Yolanda hid behind Harrison again, looking scared, as if I had bullied her. Seeing this, Harrison's face turned a bit ugly and his tone was a bit cold. There's nothing between us. Yolanda is timid. Don't bully her. But I clearly didn't do anything at all. She is the third party. I am the victim. I picked up my bag and turned around and left the coffee shop. For back home. After taking a bath, I called my lawyer and asked him to draft a divorce agreement. The assistant came over and handed me a contract. It was the project of the island tourist resort that needed my signature. When I got married last year, I bought an island. My colleagues are quite efficient. Now the project has been put on the agenda. After signing, the assistant reminded me, tomorrow there is an appointment with Linda to come and customize the season's clothes. Remember not to oversleep. Before I got married, she followed me. Since we are about the same age, we get along like friends. I was just about to nod when Harrison's mother called and said that I should go back to the old house for dinner at night. My sixth sense told me that this dinner party would definitely not be peaceful. After thinking about it, I still said, let Linda come the day after tomorrow. Then, I changed into a GUCCI long dress, stepped on Dior kitten-heeled high heels, and deliberately put on another set of jewelry I bought at an auction. Looking noble, I went to the old house. As soon as I arrived, I saw an unexpected guest. Yolanda and Harrison's mother were sitting on the sofa, chatting and laughing, looking very harmonious. Even when I greeted them, Harrison's mother didn't hear me. It was not until Yolanda reminded her that Harrison's mother looked at me, and then asked me to sit down lukewarmly. The magnificent crystal lamp is reflected on the smooth floor. It can be seen that Yolanda has carefully dressed up, but still seems out of place in the luxurious living room. As soon as I sat down, I heard Harrison's mother muttering in a low voice. You came like this? I was slightly stunned, unable to believe that someone could be so thick-skinned. She has never liked me. After I got married to Harrison, a company of Harrison's family began to operate slowly, relying on the Serafina family. But Harrison's mother only thought that Harrison was capable. However, I never cared about these things and was always willing to save face for each other. Every time I came, I brought expensive gifts. Harrison's mother accepted all the gifts, but still criticized me behind my back. Seeing that I didn't bring a gift this time, Harrison's mother was obviously unhappy. I laughed. My mother-in-law was chatting and laughing with my husband's mistress, satisfied and wishing I could divorce her son quickly. And she still has the nerve to blame me for not bringing a gift? I nodded. Yes. Otherwise? When Harrison's mother saw the necklace I was wearing again, which I had just bought at the auction today, she immediately said, Serafina, it's not that Mom is criticizing you. You should also understand Harrison. You don't earn money and don't know how hard he works. When saying this, she looked at Yolanda again. Yolanda is so considerate. Look at how thin this child is. Come and taste Auntie's bird's nest. Harrison's mother doesn't even want to pretend now. If I remember correctly, this bird's nest was transported back by a chartered plane from abroad by me 2 days ago. While criticizing me, she actually enjoyed eating it. I rolled my eyes. Is our family going bankrupt again? Just a necklace. How much is it worth? Unfortunately, I not only wear such necklaces, I also bought hundreds of them and put them in the cabinet at home to look at. Harrison's mother was embarrassed by my words. It was Yolanda who helped her out so that she wouldn't be so awkward. Just then, there was a commotion outside. Harrison came back. 5 when Harrison entered the door. He was stunned for a moment. Obviously, he didn't expect Yolanda to be here either. Harrison's mother looked at me, pulled Yolanda, and stood up. Harrison, you came back just in time. I have something to announce later. Yolanda also ran to Harrison's side like a happy little bird. Harrison's gaze fell on Yolanda. There was a hint of tenderness on his face that was hard to detect. When he looked at me, his gaze was evasive. Why are you here? I fiddled with the newly changed Van Cleef Arpels bracelet and looked at him playfully. Your mom asked me to come. Harrison looked at Harrison's mother, and a flash of annoyance passed through his eyes. But Harrison's mother didn't realize there was anything wrong with herself at all. At the dinner table, she happily announced that Yolanda would stay at the old house for a few days. There was a hint of joy in Yolanda's eyes. Harrison paused when he was picking up food. Although Harrison had his own thoughts, he didn't want to make things obvious. But his mother was determined to humiliate me. I ate obsessively and watched several people making a fuss. It seems that after a long time of making a comeback, the Harrison family has forgotten the days of poverty. They think they are great again. They will be honest after going bankrupt again. Although Yolanda tried hard to control herself, she still couldn't help eating half a bowl more of rice. The chef was specially picked by me from among the disciples of the master who has cooked state banquets. I hired him with a monthly salary of 300 yuan. Not to mention the water and ingredients used for cooking. All are the freshest. Most of them are transported by air on the same day. The taste is naturally better than ordinary dishes. When Harrison's mother and Yolanda were eating with glowing faces, I slapped the divorce agreement on the table. I said directly, Harrison, let's get a divorce. Several people were stunned immediately. None of them expected me to be so direct. Harrison was the first to react. Serafina, are you kidding? Harrison's mother also changed her face instantly, with a completely different attitude from treating Yolanda. She slapped the chopsticks on the table. Serafina, what are you doing? I just let Yolanda stay for 2 days. What kind of temper are you throwing again? Yolanda put on a timid look again, as if she had suffered a great injustice. I looked at Harrison, my eyes full of ridicule. Kidding? His mistress is about to live at home. If I don't divorce him, am I going to keep him for the spring festival? They ended this meal unhappily. But I am happy. 6 I asked Harrison to sign the divorce agreement. Harrison found excuses to shirk. But what's the use of avoiding? Just in time, Stella called. I went out to answer the phone. Unexpectedly, Yolanda also followed me out. She was extremely cautious, completely losing the self-righteousness she had in the coffee shop. I tittied my hair, flicked the Cartier earrings on my ears, and crossed my arms. I really want to see what kind of medicine she is selling in her gourd. Yolanda apologized to me in the manner of a little white flower. She said that if I didn't like her living with Harrison's mother, she would leave later. I was thinking about the divorce agreement and didn't want to pay attention to her. But Yolanda became even more aggressive. It's my fault that you two had a fight. I just want to know more about General Manager Harrison. I don't mean to break you two up. Yolanda frowned slightly. She was so pitiful that I felt sorry for her. I laughed. Did she win over Harrison with such a clumsy performance? Did Harrison stuff his brain into a shredder when he was at the company? But I still said with a smile, anyway. I want to divorce Harrison. It doesn't matter what you do. There was a flash of joy deep in Yolanda's eyes. But who would have thought that when I passed by her? She fell heavily to the ground. It was just at the right time when Harrison came out. Harrison anxiously helped Yolanda up from the ground, and there was blame in his eyes when he looked at me. Serafina, vent your anger on me if you have any. Why do you have such a great hostility towards Yolanda? I sneered. Harrison can donate his eyes if he doesn't need them. With his indiscriminate appearance and this brain that is being played around with. If Harrison's family doesn't go bankrupt, who will? I looked at Harrison's hand holding Yolanda. Remember to sign the divorce agreement. Harrison was a little anxious and grabbed my wrist. Serafina, what are you making a fuss about? Yolanda and I are innocent. She likes me unilaterally. I didn't tell you because I was afraid that you would misunderstand and get angry. Afraid I would misunderstand and get angry? That's so typical. I directly found that video and threw it in Harrison's face. Harrison's expression was extremely wonderful. At first it was shock. Then panic. And finally there was even a trace of anger on his face. You had someone secretly take pictures of me? I took in his process of being overwhelmed. A large part of the reason why men are ashamed and angry is that you have obtained evidence and confirmed his crime. Is there a need for secret photography? He did it so openly that it's hard not to be seen. Only Harrison continued to speak. Serafina, you are always like this. Have you ever cared about my feelings? Yes. You are the eldest lady of the Serafina family. Since the Harrison family had an accident, you have always had an aloof attitude. But the Harrison family is not the bankrupt Harrison family as before. Without your charity, I can also run the company well. I was slightly stunned. Harrison actually thinks like this? When Harrison's family just started to operate again, I accompanied him to work late into the night. I helped him build relationships and do all kinds of things. In his eyes, all these have become charity? Then I have really been a big sucker these 2 years. The disgust in my heart almost reached its peak. If you think so, then I can't help it. I was so angry that I laughed. Before leaving, I reminded him again to remember to sign the divorce agreement. Behind me came Harrison's roar and Yolanda's voice comforting him. 7 Harrison actually doesn't want to divorce me. Because what he wants is to have stability at home and have affairs outside. As soon as I left the old house, he chased me out. Messages were sent one after another. I blacklisted him. Sitting on a private plane with Stella. I went to Maldives for vacation overnight. I entrusted the matter of the divorce agreement entirely to my lawyer. Harrison didn't want to divorce and kept dragging it on. But Yolanda is not a person who is easy to deal with. She is pregnant. When the news reached me, Stella and I were taking a sunbath on the beach. Stella said, "You don't know." After my brother said that we came out for vacation. Harrison was so anxious. I just like to see men anxiously jumping up and down. I pushed up the sunglasses on the bridge of my nose and glanced at my phone. It was Harrison who sent me a text message asking for forgiveness with his 108th mobile phone number. Harrison said that there was nothing between him and Yolanda. It was Yolanda who had a one-sided crush on him. And what he said that night were all angry words and not his true intention. I found it extremely ridiculous and lay down in a more comfortable position. Whether it was his true intention was no longer important. He spoke nicely and distanced himself. If it was really as Harrison said, could Yolanda get pregnant by herself? I only replied to him with one sentence. I know Yolanda is pregnant. The constantly jumping messages suddenly stopped. Harrison never sent another text message. I turned off my phone and had a happy vacation with Stella. On the second day after returning to Woshi City, Harrison and Yolanda found the house where I currently live. He handed me the just-signed divorce agreement. I casually flipped through the document in my hand. When I was in the Maldives, I asked my assistant to acquire the land in the south of the city. I raised my chin and motioned for him to put the agreement on the table. Facing my attitude, Harrison had complex emotions in his eyes and remained silent without speaking. But Yolanda was beaming with joy, looking in high spirits. I treated the two of them as if they were air. Stella's birthday is coming soon. I plan to build an amusement park in the south of the city for her, as a birthday gift for her. Seeing that I had no intention of speaking, Harrison rubbed his palm on his knee and made a gesture to leave. I didn't even lift my eyelids. Don't let me see you off. After the two left, I flipped through the signed divorce agreement and suddenly felt a sense of relief. Except for the trifles of Harrison's family, Harrison can be said to leave the marriage with nothing. Before marriage, he signed a prenuptial agreement. All my pre-emerita property has been notarized. If we divorce, Harrison won't get a penny from me. I looked around the villa. The new Chinese-style decoration is calm and grand. A single piece of mahogany furniture in the living room cost tens of millions. I have countless houses like this under my name. Even the decoration of Harrison's family was added by me when I got married. After all, at that time, Harrison's family was in decline, and my parents couldn't bear to see me wronged. After the cooling-off period for divorce, the divorce certificate was obtained smoothly. Just as I came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Yolanda updated her moments. She said, "Good things take time. From now on, I am Mrs. Harrison." The accompanying picture is a pregnancy test report. I sneered. I understood why Harrison suddenly agreed to divorce me. In the past 2 years, Harrison was under great pressure, coupled with socializing and drinking. He was diagnosed with as the no sperm IA. The doctor said that the chance of him having a child would be very small. But now, Yolanda is pregnant. The inheritance of his Harrison family has a successor. It's a pity that the Crown Prince of Harrison's family can only inherit pots and pans. Because I withdrew all the support given to Harrison's family, I want to see if he can still be the general manager of Harrison without me. 9 Harrison moved out of the house we used to live in, and moved into the old house with Yolanda. Thinking about the layout of the old house, all of which were carefully arranged by me, how could I let them live so comfortably? Stella called someone and drove the most expensive supercar in the garage to Harrison's family with me. Before setting off, she also specifically reminded me to dress up more beautifully. When the two of us arrived, the moving company was already moving things. Harrison stood aside with a dark face, and Harrison's mother was so angry that her hands were shaking. Yolanda was dumbfounded. The worker said that the most magnificent crystal lamp was not easy to disassemble and might be damaged. That lamp was Harrison's mother's favorite. Yolanda also praised it non-stop, thinking it had a very luxurious style. I went ahead and directly asked someone to pull it down. If it's broken, so be it. How much is it worth? Even if it's broken and thrown into the garbage, I won't let them have it cheaply. Yolanda was in a daze as she looked at the empty hall. After realizing what had happened, her eyes instantly turned red. What are you doing? These are all things of Harrison's family. Do you believe me if I call the police? I stopped getting into the car and turned to look at her, sneering. Things of Harrison's family? Didn't Harrison tell you that he signed a prenuptial agreement? These are all my things. Harrison's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot, and Harrison's mother was even more resentful and gnashing her teeth. But what I said was the truth, and they couldn't refute it. I got into the car neatly. Stella was sitting in the driver's seat, pushed her sunglasses, and said to Yolanda, "Marrying Harrison is the right choice. Your good fortune is yet to come." After saying that, she roared off with the engine. I sat in the passenger seat and couldn't help laughing. Stella was really mean. I had already greeted those partners of Harrison's family. It's time for Harrison's family's company to go bankrupt. Thinking of the first day I returned to Woshi City, Yolanda came to me. On that day, the clothes she was wearing were obviously of a higher grade. A necklace around her neck was the one that my mother-in-law wore around her neck when I got married. Even the car she was traveling in was replaced by a Bentley. Perhaps because of the high-end clothes. Yolanda also had some confidence. Sister. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. Only you know that I am pregnant with Harrison's child. Sister. After dragging it out for so long. It's better to get divorced as soon as possible. She was carrying in her mess bag on her arm and stood there gracefully and properly, with a slender and white neck. At that time, I thought I had misheard and was slightly stunned. It turned out that Yolanda thought that my vacation in the Maldives was me avoiding reality and dragging out the divorce unwillingly. Should I say she is naive or stupid? Looking back, Stella is right. She is so painstakingly trying to be with Harrison. Perhaps it's really true as she said. The two of them are truly in love? Her blessings are indeed yet to come. 10. I plan to stay with Stella for a while. The project of the amusement park in the south of the city needs to be put on the agenda. On this day, Stella and I went to meet the designer. But we met Gavin. Gavin is my senior in the direct line. He passionately pursued me for 4 years in college. He won the scholarship for 4 consecutive years and got the opportunity to be recommended for postgraduate studies and go abroad. The designer is his friend abroad. This time he accompanied his friend. The conversation was very pleasant. According to Stella's preferences, the initial planning of the design drawings was quickly finalized. At the end, Gavin called me. The sunlight came in through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Half of his body was standing in the light. His jawline was clearly visible. Beautifully angular. Stella had a look of eating melons and left me without hesitation and withdrew. The air was somewhat silent. I took the lead in breaking the awkward situation, and said generously, "Long time no see." Gavin handed me the delicate packaging in his hand. "Long time no see. I know you must have forgotten to have breakfast. It's your favorite one." I was stunned for a moment. When I came in just now, I noticed the bag beside him. I didn't expect it was for me. "Thank you." I took it calmly and raised the packaging in my hand. "I'll treat you to a meal when I have time. I still have something to do later. I'll leave first." Gavin pushed up the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose, and there was the same gentle smile on the corner of his mouth as before. "Okay. I'll wait for your message." Back in the office, Stella came over with a gossipy look on her face. I knocked on her head and stuffed the still-warm pastry into her mouth. Stella stared innocently, unable to speak because she was choked by the pastry. I also took a bite. The sweetness was just right. And I curved my mouth. Gavin is still so careful. But currently, I have no thoughts about him. 11. Harrison's company is in a precarious situation. After the divorce, I took away all my premarital property. Those companies that cooperated with Harrison's family, only because of the Serafina family's face in the past, have all retreated. Even those that have already signed contracts are not afraid to pay liquidated damages and stay away. Harrison's company is only one step away from bankruptcy. And Z is increasingly sad. After Yolanda became pregnant, she became more and more delicate and demanded the best in food, clothing, housing, and transportation. These were a drop in the bucket for the Harrison family in the past. But now, it is truly adding insult to injury. Harrison is extremely busy at the company. When he returns home, he still has to face his high-consumption mother and lover. He is extremely tired and hasn't been home for a long time. He has been staying at the company. When Stella said these things, her face was full of schadenfreude. I opened my phone. At the top of my moments, there was actually a set of 9 pictures posted by Yolanda. A limited edition her mess bag. The caption is, "Someone said that my blessings are yet to come. Then I'll take your good words." It's like being eager to prove herself. And also like a very cowardly counterattack. With the mentality of watching a clown. I gave her a like. Stella was applying a mask and her speech was a bit slurred. Who made Harrison do such a thing? Now he can't even get a loan from the bank. The Harrison family is going bankrupt again. The word "again" was drawn out very long by her. And I was sitting in front of the dressing mirror and casually through the newly delivered Rywinsto and Hoku her necklace into the box. Stella immediately teased, "Be gentle. This necklace of yours is enough to buy Harrison's family company." If Harrison's mother knew about it, wouldn't she be so angry that she would pass out? I couldn't help laughing. This little girl has a really sharp tongue. But what she said makes sense. Since I got married, Harrison's mother has disliked me for no reason. She always praises her son as excellent and thinks it's natural for him to marry me. Now, his excellent son is free. Just as we were talking, Stella's phone rang. She said there is a banquet in 2 days and asked me to accompany her. I thought for a moment. Okay. Anyway, I have nothing to do. It's just right to tell them that the eldest lady of the Serafina family is going to return. 12 before the banquet. Stella specially had someone send me an haute couture dress by Alexis Mobile. The green dress is gentle and lively. The shape is not exaggerated. The simple version shows the high-end feeling to the fullest. Paired with emerald earrings of the same color, the whole person looks gold and high-end. At the banquet site, the melodious and elegant violin sound slowly poured out. Those who can come to the venue are all prominent figures in Los Angeles. Stella and I exchanged greetings with the ladies and wives. Suddenly, I heard a familiar voice. When I got closer, I found out that it was indeed Harrison. He was standing beside an old boss who was a bit bald, with his head slightly lowered, and there was still some embarrassment on his face. Beside him was Yolanda, who was at a loss. Stella excitedly pulled me to watch the good show. I know that old boss. His surname is Zhang. He is considered the leader in Harrison's family's industry. I saw General Manager Charles looking at Harrison with disgust. Is this the attitude of General Manager Harrison when begging for help? If you are not willing to pour me a glass of wine, then there is no need to talk about cooperation. Harrison's face was alternately green and white, forcing himself to put on a smile. General Manager Charles. Before he could finish speaking, Yolanda indignantly jumped out. General Manager Charles. I'll pour you a glass of wine. Don't make things difficult for General Manager Harrison. Yolanda used her understanding trick again. Even though I am not someone who is watching a joke, I can't help feeling schadenfreude in my heart. Charles, the general manager, is known for being extremely difficult to deal with. What he dislikes the most is when people don't give him face. General Manager Charles doesn't buy Yolanda's act at all. In fact, he is even disgusted by it. Sure enough, in the next second, General Manager Charles' sarcastic voice rang out. Is this General Manager Harrison's new wife? She is really much worse than the previous one. I think our cooperation is off then. General Manager Charles snorted coldly. When he turned his head, he saw me. His expression changed quickly. Holding a wine glass, he walked towards me, as if the person who was harsh just now wasn't him. General Manager Serafina. Long time no see. I just happened to have a business deal to discuss with you. I responded with a smile. Harrison stood awkwardly on the spot. Yolanda's eyes were filled with tears. She still had that timid look. A flash of annoyance passed through Harrison's eyes. When he looked up, he met my gaze. I raised my glass and gracefully gestured towards him. Harrison forced a bitter smile and hung his head. Walking towards the corner, Yolanda stamped her foot resentfully and followed Harrison, holding up her skirt. After chatting with General Manager Charles, Stella continued to gossip with me. I heard that Harrison sold Yolanda's Hermes bag to find a way to squeeze into this banquet. He aimed to find General Manager Charles for cooperation, but now it seems it's all in vain. Stella pursed her lips and smiled. I raised my head and took a sip of champagne, with a slight smile on my lips. What happens to Harrison has nothing to do with me anymore. But as for the joke, I still want to take a look. When I looked down, I saw a familiar figure. Gavin held a wine glass and saluted me from afar. I also responded, but I didn't want to have much interaction with him. 13 At the end of the banquet, I met Harrison outside. He seemed to be waiting for me on purpose. I originally wanted to avoid him, but he walked straight up to me, observing closely. I only then noticed Harrison's haggardness. The dark circles under his eyes. The stubble on his chin. And the sporadic white hairs in his hair. Stella wanted to speak. But I stopped her. Harrison hesitated for a long time and said, "Serafina. After all, we were husband and wife. Can't you be less extreme and cut off all my paths?" I sneered. Harrison still thinks that it's me who did something so that no one wants to cooperate with his company. But he never thought that if it weren't for me and the Serafina family, no one would have cooperated with the Harrison family in the first place. A large part of the reason why the Harrison family collapsed is that Harrison's father has a very bad reputation in business. When the accident finally happened, everyone took a kick at them. The Harrison family has a bad reputation. Those companies only cooperated because of me and the face of the Serafina family. Now that we are divorced, even if I don't say anything, without the supervision and guarantee of the Serafina family, no one is willing to take the risk and cooperate with the Harrison family. But Harrison never thinks this way. He thinks everything is his own effort. Without me, he will be better. So just 2 years after we got married, he got tired of it and betrayed our relationship without hesitation. General Manager Harrison, you'd better reflect on yourself more when you have time. I'm too lazy to explain more to him. Explaining is also like playing the lute to a cow. Stella was even more cutting. She took off an earring from her ear and threw it at Harrison. "Here. This earring is enough to buy a bag for your little lover. It's a bargain for you. Don't come to find Serafina again. Otherwise, I will make the Harrison family go bankrupt tonight." Stella raised her fist, snorted coldly, and dragged me away, leaving Harrison alone in a daze in the wind. 14 The next day, I received a call from Harrison's mother. She was still as mean and sarcastic as before. "Serafina, what's on your mind? Seeing my son so excellent. Are you deliberately suppressing him? You are so black-hearted." I picked at my ear and held the phone a little farther away. "So what if I am? So, are you going to beat me to death? If you have time, you'd better pay more attention to your son and the precious grandson in Yolanda's belly." Harrison's mother shouted loudly, "What do you mean?" I hung up the phone decisively, and then forwarded the materials General Manager Charles sent me to Harrison's mother. At the same time, Stella looked at her phone and became excited again. "Serafina, the Harrison family has gone bankrupt again." "Huh? So soon?" I thought Harrison could hold on for a while longer. I was a little surprised looking at the exploding hot search. Just because the Harrison family went bankrupt, how could it be on the top of the hot search? In the next second, when I refreshed again, the hot search immediately changed again. Harrison family bankrupt, Harrison's cheating, retribution, Harris and cuckolded in just 1 second. These topics directly rushed to the top 3. The mystery in my heart was all solved when I received a call from Gavin. General Manager Charles has a request for me and wants to win the cooperation of the South City and the Island Resort. After Yolanda made some suggestive remarks to General Manager Charles, General Manager Charles conducted an investigation. Not knowing didn't scare him. Once he knew, he was shocked. Yolanda is not as harmless as she seems on the surface. She also has a boyfriend secretly. The child in her belly is not Harrison's either. She simply regards Harrison as an ATM. And Harrison, apparently, doesn't know that he has been cuckolded and is about to become a father by accident. General Manager Charles sent all the information to me, and I sent it to Harrison's mother. And the Harrison family quickly went bankrupt. Coupled with this explosive trending topic, it is undoubtedly Gavin's doing. I asked bluntly, "Did you do this?" Gavin's voice was a little guilty. He, who is always eloquent in debates, was actually stammering a bit. "Yes. But Serafina, don't be angry. Listen to my explanation." Hearing his anxious tone, I couldn't help laughing. Gavin was puzzled. "Serafina, what's wrong?" "Nothing. It's fine. Thank you." I was originally a little uncomfortable in my heart. But soon my assistant found out that after Harrison was rejected by me last night, he actually found the media to smear me and Gavin. I felt a wave of disgust in my heart. I had firmly chosen Harrison back then. It was Harrison himself who cheated. Now he is blaming others. No wonder Gavin, who is always sensible, directly took action against Harrison this time. Stella added fuel to the fire and exposed the matter of the Harrison family going bankrupt before and relying on the Serafina family to live off a woman. Harrison was completely condemned both online and in reality. There is no chance of turning things around. 15 The next time I heard about Harrison was that he had his leg broken and was lying in the hospital unable to afford medical expenses. After the banquet that night, Harrison had a fierce fight with Yolanda as soon as he got back. He felt that Yolanda had ruined his last chance. The next day, the Harrison family went bankrupt quickly. Yolanda directly aborted the child and fled with the luxury goods that Harrison had bought for her before. Soon she hooked up with a nouveau rich again. And Harrison was completely banned from the industry. Wanting to make a comeback is simply a dream. He is too ambitious and looks down on ordinary jobs. Not to mention that he is used to living a superior life. How can he endure being a wage earner? Under the persuasion of others, he borrowed a lot of usurious loans and was ready to take a gamble and start a business again. Unexpectedly, the other party was a swindler and ran away with the money. Harrison couldn't pay back the usurious loans. Poor Harrison's mother, who has lived a life of luxury for most of her life, still has to go out to work to pay off her son's debts. But it is just a drop in the bucket. In the most recent debt collection, Harrison couldn't bear the insults and fought with the debt collectors. In the end, he was beaten and had one leg disabled and was lying on the hospital bed. Harrison's mother had no choice but to call me. Serafina? It's Mom's fault. I treated you so badly before. Can you be magnanimous and not hold grudges? After all, you and Harrison were married. You can't just ignore him. Harrison's mother's voice was choked with sobs. As waves of models passed by in front of me, I pointed casually and said to Linda in a good mood, "Wrap them up. I want them all." Linda was extremely happy. On the other end of the phone, Harrison's mother was speechless. I sneered, "Ms. Harrison, I'm still busy choosing clothes. As for Harrison, I can't help. I'll hang up first." After hanging up, I directly pulled out the phone card, and I concentrated on choosing clothes. After a while, Stella came down from the second floor with a smile. Looking at her like this, I knew she had something on her mind. Sure enough, she sat beside me and asked me in a coquettish voice, "Serafina, do you have time tonight?" I raised my eyebrows. Huh? Stella was a little guilty. Gavin has organized a gathering tonight. Let's go together. I leaned back. So this was what she was waiting for. No. I deliberately said. Why doesn't he come and tell me himself? Stella shook my arm and acted coquettishly. He promised to bring Chloe too. I suddenly understood. Chloe is the designer of the amusement park and also Gavin's good buddy. It seems that Stella is in a situation. Okay. For the happiness of my sister. Then I'll make a sacrifice. 16 The gathering at night is on a cruise ship. Everyone is familiar. A few people have a great time. I lean against the mast railing on the deck and look at the sea and sky merging into one color. Suddenly, the sea breeze blowing towards me stopped. Only then did I realize that someone was standing beside me. Turning around, it was Gavin. The end. The end. The end. The end. The end.